Happy Sunday morning, everyone. Back at Friar Talk here. We're going to be just kind of going over a little quick Q&A. Started the stream a little later today just because we have the London game, and it's honestly been an extremely boring game. But hey, we wanted to still, go live, kind of answer some questions, stuff like that. So we'll be going on probably up until about 5 minutes probably 5 minutes until the game starts. So it's like maybe like 15, 20-minute stream, something like that. So pretty chill. But yeah, we'll go over some stuff. I put on the thumbnail. We'll talk about week 5 of the NFL. Just Chase and I here today. So we'll probably talk quite a bit about the Niners and the Cowboys matchup. Go over some of the MLB playoff stuff. And then also, if you guys have any Padres questions, of course, we'll answer those as well. But starting it off, Chase, I see Devin asked a question already before we started. Sleeper team in the playoffs, and he says it's the Rangers and the Phillies for him. So who do you think? I mean, I feel like the Rangers have looked pretty good so far. I mean, the Phillies, I don't even know if the Phillies would be considered a sleeper team because they were in the World Series last year. But I think both those teams have a chance. Obviously, they won game 1 in the divisional series so far. But who do you got right now?
Like sleeper team wise, you would look at teams like the Diamondbacks, who they put up a bomb on the Dodgers yesterday. They lit up Kershaw. They held their own. Like they look good. Like young team, they're on the run. They know what they're doing. Baltimore, I would consider a sleeper team. Maybe the Twins, but I don't think the Twins get past the Astros. The Astros kind of had their way with them, so I don't think the Twins are going to make it. I want Baltimore. Realistically, what World Series I want to see is a Baltimore-Arizona World Series. Two teams that weren't expected to do anything, and if they both made it to the series, or even if one of them made it to the series, I would be very happy. It would be a lot different than the teams that we usually just been considered to be World Series favorites, what we've always seen in the World Series. However, I think the Braves realistically are probably going to make it. I mean, that lineup is too filthy. They have a strong starting rotation. They got a strong bullpen. It's kind of hard not to see them in it, but I also think it's going to kind of be the same thing that happened to the Phillies last year. Yeah, the Phillies might make it, but they don't got the pitching to go against the other team.
No, I feel that there, and it is interesting too because the one thing though is the Braves struggle to hit against the Phillies, so I do wonder if that's something that kind of is in play in that series. I mean, the Phillies beat the Braves last year in the playoffs, right? That was who they beat before they played the Padres, correct?
The
I'm
Phillies
pretty sure they
beat
did.
the Braves, yeah.
I forget who they beat in the opening round, but I thought they beat the Braves in the divisional series. So it's the same thing this year. Obviously, we saw them lose last night. I mean, Trey Turner had an insane double play that kind of saved it for them. But I feel like I could easily see the Phillies making it. If the Phillies win this round, they're a good. I mean, they're a good matchup for the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks because the Diamondbacks also are another team that doesn't really have much pitching. They have Gallen and Merrill Kelly. That's it. Like those are their starters. So they're rocking with basically 2 starters this postseason, which is really rough. I see some people talking about the Dodgers game. I mean, the Dodgers game was insane. That was like, I mean, we'd always talk, like, there's always the joke about playoff Kershaw, right? Well, playoff Kershaw, I mean,
Yeah.
if that's what you're talking about, like, that was rough, dude. Like, immediately I'm watching the game and I'm like, oh, wow, 5 runs before you even recorded out. Like, that was brutal. So they play on Monday. The National League teams play on Monday. Today, you get game 2 for the American League. So the Orioles are almost in like a must-win mode. And I feel like the Orioles might not. I honestly could easily see the Rangers win. I know that Isaac, he's not here today, but Isaac basically said that he thinks that the Rangers are like one of the best teams built for the postseason. So that's what his thought is. I mean, I could see that. Chase, you brought up the Twins. It would be really cool if the Twins made it. They got handled
I don't want to see
yesterday.
that. I
Don't
just
see
don't
it at
want to see
all.
the
Yeah.
Astros in it again. I just don't want to
Now,
see the Astros.
I do think that in the National League, I do think we could see 2 upsets potentially, which would be pretty crazy. But we'll have to see how Monday goes because I mean the Dodgers and the Braves are in almost like they're also in like must win. You have to bounce back right here. So yeah, I mean I think that let's see which playoff series has the best announcers. Honestly, I'm not sure. I don't really listen to it that loud, to be honest. Like I'm not really paying attention to the announcers unless I'm listening to like the NFL or like Padres games, if I'm being real. But I'm trying to see what else. Corbin Carroll's a beast. Yeah, Corbin Carroll is an absolute beast. The Braves winning one game and that's all. That would be so. If the Braves and the Orioles got bounced, that would be so disappointing in that one. Another question. Mookie isn't clutch in the postseason. I mean, I saw the stuff like Mookie was dancing. Did you see that? And people were not having it, bro. They were not having it. But yeah, I mean, there was a couple in both the Orioles games. They had a couple opportunities, and in the Braves game, they had a couple opportunities too to win it. So I think those are going to be pretty close series. I think those will end up going like 4 or 5 games, and they'll be pretty tight.
Tomorrow's games are going to be really, really good. Even today's games are going to be good. Jordan Montgomery versus Rodriguez, Pablo Lopez versus Framber Valdez. Tomorrow's though, Zach Wheeler versus Max Fried, Zach Gallen versus Bobby Miller. Tomorrow's games I'm looking forward to. I mean, especially considering it's the 2 NL games that we're all talking about. Who's going to win? And
we'll also watch those teams just a little more.
Yeah. And plus, Zach Gallen has been that guy this entire season. He was that guy last season. It's time to see if he's that guy in the postseason. I mean, if he can shut out the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks win 2 in a row, they might have a legitimate shot at actually, just taking the Dodgers off the board. I'm not going to count the Dodgers out. They always find a way. But if they can, I want to see the Diamondbacks go far. It's kind of fun to see a new team, especially we all thought the Diamondbacks were going to be good. We just didn't think they were going to make it this year, and they squeaked in. Let's see them cook.
And it's also interesting with their season too, just because they start the season, they're super good early on, then they totally fall off in the middle of the season, and then they get kind of hot at the end. They don't really have any pitching. They're beat up going into the postseason, but they make it in. And then, of course, it's the Corbin Carroll, Ketel Marte show that, I mean, we've been hyping up Ketel Marte for basically the last 3-4 years we've been doing this. But Corbin Carroll, I mean, he's been a beast in the postseason so far. So it's been cool to see those guys. And I think, honestly, Chase, I feel like we might see the Orioles bounce back today too. At least I hope so. I'm rooting for the teams. Who are you rooting for, by the way? I'm rooting for, I think you said the Braves, right? Like the Braves and the Diamondbacks mostly?
Braves and the Diamondbacks. AL wise, I don't really care. Unless it's the Orioles, I really don't care about. And plus, I live in Arizona, so it's kind of cool to see, actually everybody get hyped about the Diamondbacks. Like when I'm at work, everybody's cheering for the team. Like it's kind of fun to see.
Yeah, I could definitely see how that'd be the case. I'm kind of rooting. I mean, in the series, I'm rooting for the Diamondbacks. I'm rooting for I would say the Diamondbacks, the Orioles, the Twins, and the Braves. So only team I'm not rooting for that's the underdog is the Phillies. But also, I don't really care as much about that series. My buddy's a Twins fan, but I know it's not much. For them winning that first series was a big deal. But yeah, any other questions you guys got? In kind of between right now, because we'll probably be on for a little over 10 minutes, around 10 minutes more. But Chase, how you feeling about this Cowboys-Niners game? The first primetime game that's actually supposed to be good.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited for both of them. It's going to be a good game. I think the 49ers do take it. Right now, I'm looking at my bets, and I am very upset at James Cook. I can't believe he did this to me. I am utterly destroyed. Every one of my legs hit except the James Cook for 50 yards, and I am distraught, to say the least. Very distraught.
He didn't help me out either.
Plus, I was like, I didn't bet on money line actually, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna leave it just in case the Jags upset. But I thought it was gonna be a closer game. I don't know if you saw while we were recording, ETN took off for another touchdown, and that helps my fantasy team. So let's go. But definitely not getting the rushing yards anymore. But Ayuk should cook the secondary. CMC is going to do his thing. I kind of want to see Kittle more involved in the passing game, especially just on a couple quick slants, quick out routes. Let him get the ball and let him run. He's a monster with yards after the catch. just kind of open up the defense a little more. I know Debo's a little banged up, so maybe occasionally eating the ball to Debo and focus on those three today. Just do 49ers are going to do what they're going to do. And the defense should be able to hold down the Cowboys offense. Really only worried about two guys, and that's CD and Pollard. I know Michael Gallup can occasionally stretch the field along with Brandon Cooks, but I'm not too worried about the game. What about you?
I mean, I could definitely see the Cowboys winning it. Like, I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be, I think it'll be like a tight game. Like both the playoff games, even the Niners like kind of took care of business in each of them in the last 2 years. There were good games. Like the Cowboys never were out of it. It went to the very last play, and well, not really the last year's game because that was the one where they did the Zeke play at center, which was so funny. Um, but I think overall, I think you're right. Like I think it's going to be an Ayuk CMC type of game, and that's what it's been basically the whole season and a lot of last season as well. I think probably we'll see a little bit more of Kittle involved just because like Kittle he gets more involved like in the primetime games. I don't know if you've noticed that, but I think we'll see him involved a little bit more, right? And then I also think that the Cowboys they're gonna put up like theirs. Like I think CeeDee Lamb will have a good game. I think the big thing for this one is going to be the turnovers. Like the Niners they've turned the ball over one time. They fumbled one time against the Steelers. They've Purdy's thrown no picks. That's their only turnover all season long. Cowboys defense, they win games by getting turnovers. And if you don't turn the ball over against them, you're probably going to win. Cowboys offense hasn't been good in the red zone. So Niners kind of this year have been more of like a bend don't break style defense. And I think that we might see that again in this one, but I'm excited for it. See a couple comments here. Considering how atrocious Mike McCarthy is in that red zone play calling. Exactly, dude. That's how it's been like so far. Cowboys Niners must win. Arthur has a question here. Which Zach Wilson are the Jets getting today? I'm going to say the Zach Wilson that we've seen every single game outside of like last week.
I think he's going to be a little bit better than that, but I would not expect last week Zach Wilson.
Yeah, he actually looked legit last week. That was like the first time. So yeah.
So they are playing the Broncos. They are playing the Broncos. It is one of those things where they should win no matter how bad Zach Wilson plays, but it should be a lot easier for Zach Wilson to perform well against said Broncos. I mean,
yeah,
we've seen the Broncos kind of get cooked every single week. Even the Bears-Broncos game, they kind of got cooked, but the Bears just decided to stop playing football or just kind of get monstered towards the end of the second half. So they still should have lost that game, but it's the Broncos.
Yeah, man, and that's the thing. So I do wonder how all that goes. How do you feel about the rookie quarterbacks? Devin asked that.
Stroud overall. Actually,
go ahead. I was
going to say Stroud looks like he should have been the number one pick, but Anthony Richardson has also been balling. And considering he's, been playing without JT and getting him back today, that offense and those RPOs are going to be absolutely disgusting. But Stroud looks like he's been legit since day one. He looks like a top 15 quarterback already.
Yeah, I was gonna say so Stroud was my quarterback one. I kind of was confused about the Bryce Young hype. Not that he wasn't good in college or he's not a good quarterback, but like you guys gotta realize how small Bryce Young is. And then a lot of people were like, well, yeah, like Kyler Murray's small. It's like, yeah, Kyler Murray's also hurt all the time. And Bryce Young isn't even close to the athlete that Kyler Murray is. So what does he look like so far? He looks small, and he looks like he's not really athletic enough and not big enough to play in the league. Like like I know it's like really rough to say. Obviously he can get better and stuff, but that's what it's looked like so far. And that's kind of what I was concerned about Bryce Young. CJ Stroud, like you said, looks super legit. The Texans look good. They're building something special. Him and Will Anderson have been like them trading up and snagging both of them looks genius right now. And they're going to be in the mix. I honestly think they might be in the mix towards that AFC South title. Now, I don't think they're going to win it. I think the Jags will end up winning it, but like they're going to be more competitive than you would think in a first year of a coach taking over one of the worst teams in the league. So shout out to Miko Ryans there. But Anthony Richardson, he's farther along than I thought he'd be. He's still like last week, he still was like a 45% completion percentage guy, but he makes some crazy plays. if the Colts don't run him into the ground and ruin him like they have many of their past quarterbacks, I think he could be legit. I think it is going to take some time. He's a true project, but so far, I mean, Stroud looks like he's the clear number one, in my opinion.
And then Sam Howell's looked good too, right?
Oh, well, he's not a rookie technically, but like first year, yeah.
Oh, technically not rookie. It is his first year.
I think he played like in like 2 games last year, I want to say. I think so.
Forgot about that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the other rookie QBs that are starting.
I have no idea. Yeah, the Cardinals actually they're all right. Like their defense is horrible, but their offense is okay. So
Joshua Dobbs. That man is.
Dude, Josh Dobbs is all right, man. I like Josh Dobbs. I've always been a fan of him. So yeah.
Relying on him for Zach Ertz. So I'd like to see that happen.
What else we got here? Trying to think about other games that are good today. The morning game was awful. There was like 50 penalties. It kind of sucked to watch. This slate this weekend isn't too crazy. I do think the Vikings-Chiefs game will be super fun, especially if you like good offenses. What else we got here? Saints-Patriots, kind of. Well, like a lot of them. I guess Texans-Falcons is a pretty good game. I like that one.
Let's see what else.
Trying to see what else. I'm placing my bets too right now. I'm betting on the Texans. I'm in with the Texans. I like the Texans a lot.
What do you think of the Rams now that Cooper Kupp is officially back?
Like just like what their offense is going to look like?
Yeah, especially since Puka's already been a breakout star.
Yeah, I think Puka and him are going to coexist. Obviously, they're not going to give Puka like 18 targets a game or the absurdity that he's got so far, but they're going to be good. Their offense is good. I always thought their offense was going to be good. Their defense isn't great. They have a tough matchup today against the Eagles. It's like really rough, but I mean, I think they're going to be a pretty good team for the duration of the season, and I think that they're going to hang in. I think they could get a wild card spot in the NFC. I think that it's going to be interesting. I mean, they already beat the Seahawks once, but it's going to be interesting where both those teams lie. Because I feel like one of them is probably going to make the playoffs and the other one probably won't. So I think that's really what we're going to see in the end. But their offense is good.
I'm surprised no one's made a comment about Justin Fields and how he's looked the past 2 weeks. I mean, that DJ Moore trade is looking fantastic. I mean, what was it? Eight catches for 230 yards and 3 touchdowns is absolutely absurd. That is insane to me. Thank God I didn't play against either of them this week, but that looks like a little bit scary. It's kind of also funny how as soon as Chase Claypool gets traded away, the Bears offense starts to pop off. Like he gets benched. They looked good last week. They kind of blew it towards the end, but Fields looked good as a thrower. They had a decent run game. DJ Moore looked really good. Still waiting to see them get Mooney and who's the third now that Claypool's gone? I don't know. But Mooney.
I think it might be.
Cole Kmet's going to get more involved, which is great. They gave him a big contract. It's good to see him get involved. I know he's been a little bit of a red zone threat. He's done really well. Also betting on him because, fantasy team. But outside of that, for those who are in fantasy, the tight end position is an absolute hellscape. So if you get a decent tight end, which hopefully I do have in Kmet, just cling on to them with your lives and do not trade them because it is the difference maker. I don't know how many times I've lost because my tight end put up 0 points or decided to fumble the football after they catch it and make me lose by less than a point.
Yeah, man. I think it's been interesting to see like kind of what that Bears offense has been, especially because that Claypool trade was such a disaster. And then they basically bench him because he wasn't blocking. Have you seen some of the videos of him blocking? They're so funny. They're so funny. There's one where he just flops and falls over, and it's amazing. But I mean, since they've benched him, their offense looks like super legit. And they did lose against the Bears, or not the Bears. They lost against the Broncos, but they had like the play where it was like a fumble 6. They like just ran the ball in the second half, and it's just kind of it was just like their coaching sucks. Their coaching blatantly sucks. So,
Oh yeah,
but I do think that the DJ Moore, the Justin Fields to DJ Moore connection looks really good, and Komet's been great in the red zone. I think he has 3 touchdowns the last 2 weeks, so he's been legit there too. But let's see. Final question, and then we'll take off here because I know games are about to start. Yeah, we got a couple minutes. Billy Epler resigned from the Mets. Is he a GM the Padres should consider? Kindbloom or James Click? I don't know too much about James Click, but Kindbloom definitely not. He was a disaster in Boston. Billy Epler, I mean, he's getting in trouble. He's getting like investigated for like doing something wrong. Though I don't know if it was
for
intentional.
IL fraud.
Mismanaging the IL, yeah. What are your thoughts though?
I would not consider 2 out of 3 of those guys. Like you said, Bloom and Epler kind of. Even then, Epler, he brought up people. I think he signed a few contracts that he shouldn't have, and now they're trying to fix that themselves. So they're kind of the Mets and the Padres are in very similar situations, but vastly different teams, which is weird to say, but they're in very similar situations. So I would not consider Epler. It's never good when your GM is investigated for something. Like AJ Preller being investigated for tampering with trades and tampering with medical data that would have affected said trades, guys getting hurt as soon as they leave the Padres. It's never good when your GM is being investigated for something, and kind of misusing the IL would be another one of those things where it's probably not the best idea to have that, because what else could he possibly be tampering with if he's willing to do that? James Click would be an interesting option, but as long as they don't have a previous connection with Preller, I'd be okay with it outside of those 2 GMs. But like I said, the Braves and Orioles front office is kind of where I want someone to come from. They've run their organizations really well, and I want that to carry on to the Padres.
Yeah, and Click has, I mean, he was with the Astros. He has a good resume. Obviously, they had the incidents there. The only problem is just that 2 of these guys kind of had some issue, already are getting investigated for stuff, so I don't know. I'd probably say pass, and I think you're right. I think probably going the Orioles or the Braves route is the correct way, just because they've built up an organization that has. I mean, I know the Orioles are just good this year, but the way it's been built up is like sustained winning culture, which I think is a really big deal. And obviously, we've seen it with the Braves for years, but the Orioles look like they're on their way to do that. So I hope that it comes from those guys. Not really the biggest fan of these guys, but Chase, I think that's probably gonna do it. Games are starting right now. So everyone, thanks for hopping on. Next weekend we'll probably hop on a little bit earlier. Or actually, I don't know. I think there's another London game next week. It's a little bit weird with the London game because if it's close, it's like I want to watch the end of it. So yeah, we'll have some stuff out this week. If there's anything that you guys want us to talk about Padres related, make sure to comment it below. Let us know. Message on old videos or something like that, because we'll see that. But a lot of guys that you could potentially re-sign and discuss there. So we'll talk about that next week. But have a great Sunday, everyone. Got good baseball coming up. Got good football. So enjoy yourself, and we'll talk to y'all soon.